So I got a question for you as far as Hamilton was a show that was designed
Yes.
for all to be included. I look at you specifically, and you can swat me off and tell me if I'm totally wrong here. But as an actor, as a black man, I've seen you play in A Chorus Line or Rent, and there are roles in some of those shows where it's like, you're only trying out for the black guy role. You're like, oh, I could be this guy in this, or I could be that guy in that. And then Hamilton came and blew the doors off, and it was like, yo, this is not you're welcome to try out, and we may cast you as when we need the black guy or this guy, but this is designed with you in mind. Can you talk about your feelings when you saw a show like that take the stage, a Hamilton with an alternative casting, and not that there weren't other shows that were predominantly black, but specifically when this one, it's almost a rewriting of history in some ways and how it was cast, of saying, hey, this wasn't just, hey, you can try out for the black guy role, but this is designed with you in mind, of like, everyone is welcome to try out and be a part of this. What was that feeling when you first saw the show with that kind of cast?
Hayes, you're so good at this. This is
No.
this is
No.
so good at this. It was the most incredible feeling to know that any role, any track in Hamilton was on the table for me. Not just, and I'll be honest, with like Mamma Mia and Matilda, that you knew what the black track was, you knew who the black role was, and you knew that that was the only thing you could be considered for just because of how it was built. Hamilton, it was built for anyone, any color, any race, any background, to fill the spot and to tell the story. That's it. Like, as long as you tell the story impactfully and from a place of truth and honesty, then you're right for the part. And I think it was easier. It was just a breath of fresh air, and I think I performed better knowing that I had a ton of options whilst going in for such a big show. I knew that, well, they're gonna see me for any of these roles or tracks, and it's about how I perform and how I show up today, and that's all in my control. So that's the comforting part. It's not about, I guess I'm only right for the black track. That's not in my control. I didn't make those rules. But when you walk into a room like Hamilton for that audition, which was very quick, by the way, because my track was needed to be filled very, very fast.
Sure.
I knew that the possibilities were endless, and as long as I got my sleep, as long as I did my meditation, as long as I did my yoga before the audition, then everything else was, I did what I need to do to prepare for the part and for the tracks. So I just had to perform at my best ability, and it ended up going beautifully. And you're so right. There are shows that are, predominantly black, but the reality of that is that a lot of the shows that are predominantly have black cast members, they ask you to be someone else. The Temptations musical, Ain't Too Proud, those are all real people who existed, and black people who existed. So you have to really act like that person. There's a Michael Jackson musical coming out. You have to act like those characters who actually existed. And then the other side of it is musicals like The Color Purple and all of that. They ask for you to bring up a lot of trauma that has been in your life as a person of color. Whereas Hamilton, these are characters, yes, these are people who actually existed, but you're not asked to move exactly like George Washington. You're not asked to move exactly like Hamilton. You're asked to embed yourself into what it is they were feeling. What was Hamilton feeling at this part in time? What was Eliza Hamilton feeling when she realized that Hamilton was being like unfaithful? You know what I mean? We all go through stories like that, and we know what it is to feel a sense of like those feelings, and we can embed all of the reality that happens in our world into the story that we're telling. So I say that to say that there are shows that are being created like Hamilton that allow you to bring your most authentic self to the part and to the stage. It is so refreshing, and I hope that more of that happens, especially when Broadway and shows open back up. I'll tell you that I was in Raleigh. I was in Raleigh right when everything hit. I was at North Carolina Theater, and I
Okay.
was doing Memphis the musical, and we were Eric Woodall is the artistic director
Yes.
of the theater, and him and I go way back. He actually cast me in Mamma Mia on Broadway. How insane is that? See,
Awesome.
North Carolina, always. You can always trust in North Carolina as far as community, you know? But it was, and that show is definitely about that time period where there was segregation, and we're still seeing a lot of those injustices today. And but it was such a fun musical. I'm so sad that we weren't able to continue on with it, but I digress. But North Carolina, that's just to say, it's my life always brings me back to North Carolina. I'm actually going back to North Carolina in a couple weeks to teach at Blumenthal Performing Arts Center. So, oh, you can always find me somewhere in North Carolina.